Hello and welcome to the skating lesson. I'm Dave Lees.
And I'm Jonathan Byer. Hi.
Hi, Jonathan. Welcome back from San Jose.
Thank you so much. I have to tell you, this was a really fun / weird nationals to have attended in person.
Well, I didn't like the distance between us. So
No, I have to tell you, like when we were at nationals together for Boston and in Minnesota, those were much more fun, Dave. You were greatly missed.
Thank you. I missed you too. My friend's mom passed away right before nationals. I was sick the whole month. Work's been crazy. I was really waiting until the last minute. I knew that my friend's mom was sick. I had a relative that was also sick before then, and it didn't obviously work out. So I missed it a lot, but I'm so curious to get your take. I watched it with La. She was supposed to come on with her friend. She's sick, but we watched, and I have to tell you, so we watched with a couple of friends, Jonathan, and I don't like the whole mathletization of skating when you're trying to watch and enjoy a performance and take your mental notes, and there are two queens next to you on the couch that have the iPad with the live scores, and they're reviewing the toe, and you're trying to watch on the screen, and then your brain is doing multiple things at the same time, but you're thinking 3 elements behind as you're going. It's a little much for me. I don't.
Correct. You can't really be in the moment, as Sandra says, if you're really on that kind of trajectory. Yeah.
Sandra and I just want to be in the moment. We just want to.
But that's what I'll tell you is interesting. Some people, when they watch live, they have those live call sorts of things. But without those boxes, without the color coordinating of NBC and all this sort of stuff, you do just take it in person. And I think it's why so often the audience responses don't always jive with what we're seeing on television, because it's without all that extra information. So
I can't tell if I like the box or not. And the NBC box is a little strange. What do the colors really mean? Yes, they're reviewing it, and then it's red, but then sometimes red changes, and it is a little.
And sometimes it's so bad they don't need to review it.
Mm-hmm.
But so it may be showing up green, but it still wasn't a quality element. You know what I mean? So it's a weird way. It's a weird way to do it.
Yeah, I don't know about it. But we have a lot to get into. Before we left, I think I have to tell you, last year I went to the junior ladies. And it was one of those things, we were out at dinner with our good friend Christopher Schumann, one of the opera-gays, yes.
Yeah.
And my boyfriend was there, and we all were there. And I'm like, I'm going to go watch the junior ladies. And I think Christopher had a friend to meet, and Mike was going to go back to the hotel. And I went, and it was me and J.R. Walker and a couple people. But it was just real sparse, and the skating wasn't good. And I felt really depressed and a little lonely and a little tired. What do they call it? In therapy when you're sad, angry, tired, whatever. So, this year I watched the junior ladies on Ice Network before the event started, and I thought the last two were actually really good. Up until then, I was frightened because people said that the short was good, and I turned it on, and it was the Coyote Club was out everywhere, Jonathan. But
amazing.
Did you happen to see Pooja skate?
So I went back and watched her videos after everyone was talking about her.
Okay.
And that's pretty special.
Yes.
And I was especially confused because we have a very solid girl that won juniors, but she's very petite. It's that kind of junior that makes me nervous. Is it going to last?
Well, she's
very
young. Yeah. The girl who won is Elisa Liu, who is wonderful. And we'll get to her in a second, but she's very young, younger than Pooja is. So.
Right. And so then Pooja was not put on the world team.
On the junior world team, correct.
On the junior world team, which I thought was a real confusing, unless there was something at play there that I didn't understand. I thought that was a story.
Well, we've bombed Junior Worlds the last couple of years, and we don't have 3 spots at Junior Worlds because the last ladies were so abysmal. Okay. And including our national champion.
Okay.
Was also not great at Junior Worlds the last 2 years. But she was not the worst, okay?
Right,
I think it was a couple, going back, we had, I'm blanking on her name. I'm sorry. And she went to fashion school and is blonde and from California, went from Tammy to Corey to Tammy. Anyway, she had disastrous Junior Worlds performances a couple years in a row. We didn't get the 3 spots, so that's why Pooja isn't there. If we had a 3rd spot, she would probably be there as long as she's age eligible. But I thought she was great. I thought she had big, strong jumps with good technique. And they
very
look
musical. She was very
musical. She can work on the skating skills a bit, but they're not terrible. I think that there's, room there, but she looked dynamic. And I think that's what I really appreciated about her. But Elisa Liu, who won, Jonathan, has the gay dad and his partner. Yeah. And what I really loved is that they were clearly channeling Sasha Cohen with the dress. Like, it was her 2003 Worlds dress, but, like, updated in less offensive colors. But it was, like, clearly, like, a gay Sasha fan channeling it in his daughter. I was there for it. She landed triples in the second half. She looks primed.
Oh, yeah. She did a nice Lutz in the exhibition. It was very impressive. Yeah.
Musical, charismatic. So, yeah, there was some talent there. And I thought, Camden Pulkinen... winning the junior men's. That's impressive, too, because he was in the top 2 last year. So the fact that they're not so up and down is good. But let's just get into it, because I'm feeling like we need to talk about Ashley. I was just going to mention that I tried to make a joke, and Jonathan, people take nationals so seriously.
They really do. Yeah.
I was saying that I didn't know if I had a blood clot or something because, I'm like, I like a junior pair, and they combine, like, Phantom of the Opera and Cats. And the only one who got it was Sandra Bezic, who was like, go to the hospital immediately. There is something wrong with you. Everyone else was like, what are your symptoms?
That's because she gets it. Yeah. Exactly.
Everyone else was like, what are your symptoms? Are you sure? And I was like, bless. But... at least you would have gotten my humor, Jonathan.
I did. I got it when you said it. I was with you.
Listen, I was really into that junior pair. They're from Texas, and they're, musical, and they can land things.
Despite what music is too. Yeah, exactly.
Despite what music is too, they had star quality. I liked it.
Okay.
But, yeah, let's get into it. All right, the ladies' event, Jonathan. Let's just get the big question out of the way. Diva Wagner not going... huge surprise for many. What was the buzz at the arena? I want to know at the end of the ladies' event, when her score was up, just walk me through how people were feeling there.
So it's very interesting who people are clearly giving their support to in the arena. You feel that. And that's that intangible thing like Mariah always has. Whether or not it's being justified in the product in the moment is another story.
Now, you're in... Karen's from, I'm not good with California geography, but I know she trains in Riverside, but she's from Fremont, so Fremont's close to her.
Karen definitely had a big support there, and also what you could tell was like a personal kind of support. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So it was interesting. The crowd wasn't with Ashley. They weren't, from where I was sitting, it did not feel like they were giving her that energy, especially in the short.
Okay.
Seeing her warm up and seeing her kind of, she's in everybody's way. She's kind of it's kind of like a whole energy was being put out. And she botched the combo directly in front of me. I was sitting behind the infamous flag people, and the combo was directly in front of us, and we saw her have the issue with the toe. And even then she did a cutesy kind of like, oh, whoops, as she finished. And I was like, oh dear. And then the mouthing at the end, like, okay, I'll take it. It was just there was something off-putting about it and very empty feeling about it. Mm-hmm. And the dress was much more beautiful in person for the short. Okay. But I expected to be dazzled in the energy and the performance of it, and it didn't. It didn't work. I understand the argument that things are empty sometimes, but they're met with an energy and a performance factor, and it just wasn't the case in the short. And so those PCS, everyone was on Joe Inman for the 6'5", and
You talked to Joe, yeah.
Yeah. And I think that that was correct. And in fact, if he was being a real stickler, could have gone lower if he wanted, you
And Joe
know.
has, that was for transitions, correct? The
That's
6.5, yeah.
correct.
And he's been known for being a stickler in transitions before at nationals, including with some of the favorites, including with Johnny Weir, who's also very similar to Ashley in terms of the career trajectory and
Right.
how they were at the the last Olympic trials of their career. If you remember, there was a feeling then. It's funny because Johnny was working harder in 2010, but there was a feeling that he had kind of slogged off and was hanging on that last year, the way Ashley has been.
Right.
We can get in a big conversation about this because I remember 4 years ago I never thought she was going to last another 4 years. And when I think
Right.
about it, and I kind of, you put that in your mind and you forget about it. And it got kind of the way I kind of expected it to, in a sense. I mean, I never expected her to get as good as she was in 2015, and
Right. That was the surprise.
but
Yeah.
the last 2 years, I felt that her skating was smaller, and I remember getting in a debate with this with Bruno Marcotte. We went to dinner last year, and I said, she just looked stronger to me in 2016, more powerful, more oomph. And I felt
Right.
the last 2 years that even though she's been thin, it's been like a weaker kind of skating, like smaller skating skills, just not the same energy, just not, and
Right.
not, I can't, like, there's a verve missing from her skating.
Right.
I thought she
Yeah.
had it a little bit when I saw first, the Annie Lennox program when she, did hit the poses at Skate America in practice. I thought, oh, this is going to be good for her. And then the program was empty, and in the competition and with the other dress, and it never had that same fire. It was almost as if getting that world silver medal really. It satisfied the competitive instinct in her. She no longer had that same fight to prove herself after that. She had done it.
Right. Well, I thought Law's theory about losing Gracie as the immediate domestic rivalry may have also taken the fire away.
Mm-hmm.
It's just been the last 2 seasons seems to be on fumes, and
Yeah.
that in person especially. I've seen her live many times, and she does have this kind of energy that radiates. But especially in the short program here, it was not doing that.
That's why I know Tara liked the Exogenesis program last year, and I always thought it muted Ashley.
Yeah.
I never, and I thought La La Land was nice.
Dave, I didn't hate it.
Okay, you
I like, especially in person, like there was a sweet, light, kind of effervescent quality to it. Where if she had started the season with that, if we just saw her and that was Skate America, or I guess whatever her first one was, Skate Canada,
Canada, yeah.
then I'd be in a little bit more. I think whatever reasoning she had for waiting to make the moment at nationals, she missed the mark.
Also,
Because got her good steed, I think. But
can we be honest about it?
yeah,
There
please.
was
It was
no,
lusty.
like, structurally, it was very similar to Moulin Rouge. I mean, there were some differences and there were nice additions, but it wasn't something so new and so different that she couldn't have just done it all season. And I know
Right.
that there was something with the music and all these different things, but I wonder if that was in her head more than actually something that was going to be so hard to get across. I mean, it's not the same kind of driving thing that she usually does, and I understand that. The thing is that I believe that Ashley has lost the perception game with the judges, and
Right.
I know that I'm tough, and I've been tough on Ashley because I don't always see the training, and I think we see that she's someone that's not the most talented, but if she works hard, she can pull off that medal. She could pull off the bronze, and she. I think what happened with her especially is, there's a lot of talking, and I think as someone who's a reporter, I get very annoyed because if you track her statements, they seem to sound like hot air after a while because I remember, last year she's I'm going into nationals to be 4-time national champion. Then you get there, and if she doesn't do a good short or something, she'll say, well, the goal is not to be national champion this year. The goal is to get to Worlds. So you get to Worlds. This was the toughest year. I feel great getting to Worlds. This was the toughest year ever. It was so hard to be here. You're like, okay. So you get to the next year. And then she is going into all of her things. We see her posting, she has a ton of endorsements, a ton of, extracurricular activities. But there are also reports that she doesn't skate as much as she used to. And that could be preservation for her body. But there's not a lot of, focused planning going on. We saw between Skate Canada and Skate America that she was on Andy Cohen. She was on the Today Show skating. She was filming commercials. Right. I think she did one of her TV commercials then. We saw her in photo shoots. Maybe that is when the cut happened. But she was walking around in high heels. The people had pictures with her at Skate America. So, and then she was acting like her ankle hurt that much. The people that we talked to, and we talked to a lot of judges, none of them bought it at Skate America. I talked to people on the panel who thought it was more drama than substance.
Yeah, and just not the right. For so long, she was so good for, I think, the sport. Mm-hmm. You know, she was a good girl to have at the USFS, and she was doing all these things. Past 2 years, things are getting a little strange, and a lot of the good connections she had are waning.
Yeah,
people have seemed to have outgrown the game.
She's very good at the game, and it is her business, but it's felt like for the last 18 months that she's been running on the past and on the fumes and not really working as hard as the girls who are behind her. Because if you're here and someone's coming up behind you, you have to work as hard as they are to stay ahead. And you can often tell that isn't the case. So let's talk this out. She's at Skate America. That was over Thanksgiving, right? And she told us at Skate America, when she withdrew, that she's withdrawing because she wants to be national champion. Okay. So she had those couple of days where she was off with her skin infection. This is bringing you to early December. Then she's getting the program worked on with Shaylin. Say that's beginning of December, right? Because she went up to Toronto. She comes back into training. You don't have that much time before nationals. You have about 3.5 weeks. We see her at nationals, and people are posting videos of every single practice on YouTube. She never does a full run-through of the new program. In fact, when the first day we saw La La Land, she left out some of the footwork, she left out the spins, and she left out the whole pattern into the Lutz at the end, as well as some spins again at the end. So if you have a new program and you're not training it full out, you need all that time for it to become comfortable. It comes new. You usually work on this for months. To me, I'm wondering, where is the work ethic? Where is the polish?
The interesting thing, Dave, is that even though I think that there are limitations to the La La Land program, but again, I was really dreading it and then ended up not totally despising it. I think she lost it on the short, which was the over-rehearsed program. I think the short was the insult. The short seemed phoned in, seemed tired, seemed lazy in a way. She was third with the La La Land program. If she had a better short, she would have been fine. It was interesting. It's I think the short that did it. She needed the short also.
I think she needed a new short too, and to just excite people. We've seen it before. Right. I never thought it was the greatest program before. It does have a dancey quality to it, and it worked, and it was sweet. But she's actually always struggled with it, which is funny that she went back to it, because aside from Worlds that year, it had been such a bugbear for her in competition, even though it was a program she seemed to have fun with. There was the dress, and it might just be the timing, and it's a little, doesn't calm her down, but it was never a comfortable program for her. But I really think the technique of the jumps, the triple flip, triple toe, even the one in the long was actually a little bit under. If you look at the rotation, we've never really seen her do the triple loop, half loop, triple sow all season. It was a real struggle for her to rotate that and to even do the second jump. So I think it's interesting. I think that I would look at the judges who vote on this. There are a lot of influential people that are not just on the panel, but when you go back to the program, that was a PR nightmare in a sense for her after, going into Champs Camp with that. Who knows how that was really received, if they were enthusiastic about that.
Well, and I think it says, and obviously we'll get to it with the men, but the Olympic meetings, one was for the men, it took almost 4 hours. Mm-hmm. I think for the women, they were out of there in under 30. So it was pretty clear. Where everyone was kind of going with it. Yeah,
so Robbie Rosenbluth is the one who ran the meeting for both. So I think it's interesting that the men took so long, but let's stick with the ladies right now.
Yeah, of course.
The ladies, So the judges, it's one of those situations where I think the judges could have put Ashley third or put her fourth. It looked like the caller was helping her. The caller called Karen's under rotations, was a little bit generous with Ashley at times, but she did lose levels, and the Sam Oxier said that it was the spin level, the error on the Lutz, and the Sal that really made the difference. So
Right.
I think that we knew in the short that she was in trouble. I still thought that there was a good chance she was going to pull it out, because I thought, okay, Angela Wang will move down a couple of spots after the short. She's not been a great long program skater. And I didn't think Karen was going to hold up as well as she did. And Karen was sick. So that was really interesting to me. And when Karen did beat Ashley, then she has her beat on the criteria, because she did do 2 Grand Prix events, even though she didn't skate well at them. But she beat her at Worlds and beat her at Nationals. So once they put her there. But what did you think of Karen skating in person?
Well, especially back-to-back. Thank goodness she went back to the Loon program. But we can also, I went back then and watched some of them on video. And it's so different, this starting thing, the shadow puppet crane or whatever. It actually does look cool in person, but some of the camera angles, they thought they were being artsy by overly zooming in at the starts of the programs, and you lost everyone's opening positions, which was a bit unfortunate. I liked the short program. Her skating in general is a bit bigger. She covers more ice. She moves faster. She has less movements done in a bigger way, I think.
Better skating skills than Ashley is what you're saying. Yeah.
Deeper edge. More gravitas in its presence. Just seeing them even on a warm-up. And that was interesting for me to see. It's that scary delay she does sometimes on those jumps, that it was like, you don't have time to delay, Karen. You need to start if you're going to get that triple toe on at the end. But there was something about it. I found myself rooting for Karen in the moment.
Yeah.
Because just the energy and the vibe she gave off was a much more pleasant one.
Even though On Golden Pond is so dated, she skates it with a freshness that it's surprising. I do, I've not always been her biggest, champion, but I think that she has a really lovely quality. I will say that she skates her footwork, I think, with more integrity than Ashley does at times, and her spins are far superior. So when you come down to them both...
The spins are exquisite and fast, even when she changes the positions,
And she gets the geoies from those for the elements, whereas Ashley, outside from the solo loop, she doesn't usually have great landings. She actually looks a little bit... Someone thought maybe she had a hip issue, because she just looks off in the air a little bit. A skater that we talked to. But I wonder.
And even though Karen is back to 2 repeat programs, because she gave us a smattering of other programs, somehow it didn't seem as, repetitive. Because this was really the first time seeing them both back-to-back like this for me again.
Well, Ashley also wasn't trained earlier in the season. So if she looked tired and phoned in, it was because it probably was. And she said that she was overwhelmed by her sponsor obligations. Well, it's kind of your responsibility as an athlete to manage that and how you're going to do that.
Well, I wonder, because are there provisions in there about her making the team?
So one article said that you usually get a bonus for these kind of sponsorships if you make the team. You get X amount of money, and if you make the team, there's an incentive payment structure. So, not making...
I could see some being like, and if you don't, we have to drop them all. We don't keep paying you or something.
There can be some of that, but, you get paid. There's more money if you make the Olympics, more money if you medal, yada, yada. So, not making the team, not doing a team medal, that does cost her money.
And she was trying to steal her headlines. Again, this whole story could have been a Mirai story. That could have been the big press story coming out. But instead it became about her kind of being a brat, in my opinion, in the media zone and the press conferences and all this sort of stuff, saying she was furious and she was held down. And
it's interesting the different writers and how people have covered this, because can you imagine, and we both like Christine, but if Jeremy Abbott said what Ashley said, how would Christine have written that article? Instead,
I thought what Ashley was saying was much worse than what
yes,
Jeremy said when she got so upset with him. Yeah.
yeah, I think that Christine is a little clouded on the Ashley card at times. Especially because she was mad. She seemed mad that Ashley wasn't taken, and then upset that Adam was. So I was confused, like the logic.
Well, and again, it's like hard not to talk about one with referring to the other, but
Yeah.
everyone was just mad at every decision, even though there were two different decisions. So
Yeah.
it was no one was going to win. There was no clean decision for the men, but this was a clean decision for the women, I feel.
Yeah, I think it was really about the whole season, about preparing honestly and
really the
antics.
last season and a half,
Yeah.
because it was so strange already,
Mm-hmm.
at this time last year. At Nationals, like we said in the recap, they could have helped her and she could have won last year.
Yeah.
But they chose not to.
Her former competitors have pointed out to us that, how she will drop a built-in excuse if she's not really prepared. This is,
Right.
someone who came to Nationals with a flu mask on once. And, she,
Right.
she knows how to get the attention. She knows the game of skating really well. She knows the echo chamber of the media. And Adam knows it too. And we're going to get to that too, because he has spun this all season. And Jason was too. Right. They were both really playing the media angle. To make the team, and it is part of the whole show of skating. But it's interesting to watch this as it turned out, because there was such a feeling, Ashley was the girl of U.S. skating. That's why it's shocking not to see her. But it's funny when the judges do this, they turn on people, and they do it so quickly and the skaters that think that they have this status are often kneecapped by them, and because they inflate your scores until they don't.
Well, that's the thing. They are scoring her PCS correctly, but it's just that for a long time they didn't. And
for a long time they went up, because you're supposed to give the boost at Nationals so that you go into the Olympics with your own judges believing you're better than you are. That way, they can sway other people. But the thing is they did this to Johnny Weir in about 2008, 2009, especially after he went to that show over Korea when he had gotten sick, and they felt that he was putting, show skating over preparing for Nationals and was phoning it in there, and they put him and didn't send him to Worlds, and he was angry about that and was stunned. And then the next season, if you remember, Joe Inman gave him a 3.75 in the short program at Nationals for the I Love You, I Hate You. And he went to the Olympics, and I believe he had badmouthed the judges at the Nationals. And when he went to the Olympics, he was mad because the U.S. judges then turned around and they didn't even watch his practices. Because the thing is that the judges like to kind of make people. And I remember...
Right.
So one skater told me that when the monitoring sessions are very important, and all of the judges like to feel very important. So if they give you feedback, you have to you can't give them attitude, and you have to be like, oh yes, thank you, I will work on it, absolutely. And she was telling me that they told her to add transitions, and she was like, oh, absolutely. They never added transitions. They got to Nationals, and the same judge was like, oh, I see such a difference. Yeah. So, but it's all part of the game, so you have to wonder, how prepared was Ashley at these monitoring sessions? What happened? So
and that I guess was the buzz, was that she wasn't and she wasn't taking it seriously enough. And I thought it was a really unfortunate move to not be at the gala.
Now, do we know if she was invited to the gala? I imagine that she was.
Of course she would have been. She was fourth place, and she's a big champion, and they could have had her in some capacity.
I would think so. We know she was angry, but that's weird to me too, that Christine doesn't say anything about that, because if it was other skaters, she would really go after them.
Would have picked that. And you know what? I was also surprised because Ashley sees an opportunity when there is one. Mm-hmm. That's been her moment.
Well, she's going on Today's Show tomorrow morning, and
I know,
and I'm sure she'll talk about that. And I've imagined she'll be a correspondent for the Olympics. Not all is lost for Ashley. She's going to be a TV person. She's been working the media.
Yeah.
She's good at PR. I mean, she's great at spinning. Look, I mean, and I thought
in the media.
I mean, so you were the one who told me that Raphael was. Were you the one who told me that Raphael kind of turned his back after she didn't nail the combination in the short? That he wasn't really watching for the end of the program.
Yes, correct. Yeah, he threw a temper tantrum on the other side of the ring for sure.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting because she caught off the ice and immediately. This is the girl who said her goal was to be national champion. She got off the ice and she's like, "Well, I did what I needed to do." And to me, that's such a complacent, strange thing to say. When you make a mistake, you're in fifth, and you may not make the Olympics again. The right way. I thought that was a really strange comment and self-preservation-y and spinny. And I thought, God, Ashley should work in PR. She creates this reality of like everything. I mean, it changes from week to week, and people have no recollection of this. But it's it becomes a lot of hot air, and it happened with Johnny Weir, and it even happened with Adam a little bit this week. Where
Mm-hmm. So it was much. She dominated the headlines, which I think is exactly what she wanted to do.
Always, So I mean, she has to be a TV person. You think she'll be the new Tara or Johnny or?
I wonder if it's too late. Like that kind of stuff seems to have such planning in advance, though. I don't know how it could still be possible.
You think Tara and Johnny plan in advance for what they're saying?
No. I mean, their positions.
Oh, that kind of plan. Well, I'm sure they'll add her as a correspondent or something, or a Today Show. I mean, something. NBCOlympics.com. I mean, come on. They'll find something for her to do. I mean, there's... Don't you think? Yeah.
This is Ryan Bradley or something.
Yeah, please. I mean, they will figure out a way. She will, Andrea Joyce will come out with a head cold or something. I think because look, she can't be a coach. She's not a rink rat, and she certainly can't be a choreographer. So, I mean, what is she?
Exactly. Yeah, it's not going to be in skating the craft. Yeah, for sure.
What's your take on the men's decision? Before we go into the rest of the skating, I feel like we're...
Okay, so the men's decision, I didn't, in general, this nationals felt a little different for me because I felt like I didn't really have a horse in the race. Mm-hmm. And I said this to you the other day. Usually I'm rooting for someone, often a Japanese woman or whatever. But here I was truly fine to just kind of let it happen the way it was going to happen, especially in the men. And so when Ross Minor kind of had his very surprising moment, you thought, wow, that's a really nice moment for him. It's really, really lovely. I wasn't personally taken with the program or the skating skills per se, but it was a really nice moment. He delivered a clean program and he was exuding that energy. And that's just lovely to see. And then I'm that sucker. When I see someone else get emotional, sometimes I start to as well. And he really did at the end, and it was genuine, unlike everyone else's fake emotions at the end of all their programs. But then I did think to myself, like, where does this go? Mm-hmm. Again, the best word I heard someone say was clean. There was no clean decision here for the men. Mm-hmm. There was clearly no way Jason could be in the conversation. Mm-hmm. And I guess then the next thing is, what is the goal of the Olympics? Mm-hmm. Well, I would assume is to nab that team bronze medal. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that any one of these people that we're deciding between for the selection are going to make or break that team event. Ross would be fine. He could do a quadless, clean, short program at a team event and put us fine. Even if he made an error, he wouldn't knock us out of making the final. Karen or Ashley. No one was going to knock us out of the team event, nor did we absolutely have to have someone in the team event. You know what I mean? And a lot of these people are not individual shots for medals. So okay, maybe let's say Ross went and placed 12th and Adam goes and finishes 8th. I don't know, like, does that matter, the difference between, because if so, why do we not John Coughlin in 2010, because they would have played higher than Nate, but was that necessary?
Yeah, it's. I think that they need to really think about that and think about what the the criteria. What does the criteria mean? It just has events listed.
Right.
Is it, if we're considering last year's Worlds, is it who our top finisher is? Is 7th place at Worlds good enough? In the ladies, 7th place seems weak, but in the men's, that would seem like a great finish. I think, in the dance, that would be a horrible finish. You look at, everything's so relative, but it's also unclear to me because I think, we just talked about Japanese nationals, and Wakaba Higuchi was at the final. That didn't, making the final didn't help her make it onto the Japanese Olympic team. So Adam has made the last 2 Grand Prix finals. He, I believe, was last a year ago. This time he beat Jason and he was 5th. So you think, okay, that has, if Adam goes to Worlds, he could help us get 2 spots. That's the only way I could think about this really justifying what they're doing. Because, yes, Adam has been consistent. But if you look at the Grand Prix events for the men, so many of the top men who perform so many quads show up to these events so untrained. So for the first event when Jason medaled at Skate Canada, the rest of the field was embarrassing there. It was really a rough event. Adam did do his job at Skate America. He had help with people pulling out and having injuries and awful skates. You look at the Grand Prix final, he pretty much, did his job, and Jason didn't skate that well. But in order to put someone on the Olympic team over who finishes ahead of them, I looked a little bit back. So we go back to the first time that, in modern era that this happened was in 1992. Mark Mitchell was 3rd place.
That connection is just too much. It's just too much, isn't it?
So that was for Todd. Todd Eldridge.
Who was a no-show. Yeah.
And he had a back injury that he was getting over. This is always weird to me because he says that he was kind of over it and then he threw his back out again on the plane. So, you wonder if he was ever even over the injury, but he was the reigning world bronze medalist. So,
which is a big difference. That's a big deal. Yeah.
And there was also, it was a double whammy because it was like a 5-4 split, I believe, on the judges between Paul Wiley and Mark Mitchell. Maybe it wasn't 5-4, but it was darn close and debated.
Right.
So that was that decision. Todd didn't skate well at those Olympics, even though we sent him. So that's a little frustrating for Mark Mitchell. 94, obviously, Nancy gets sent because she gets whacked in the knee. She was an Olympic bronze medalist. She was the reigning national champion. She was also a 2-time world bronze medalist going in. So, a 2-time world medalist. She had a silver and a bronze going in. So she certainly had cachet, and she had won the pirouette earlier that season.
Right.
You move along. In 1996, we didn't send Bobek when she tried to petition and it was a 12-13 vote of that international committee. They felt that she was slogging off training over the Nutcracker tour when she got hurt. So 98, she did get sent over Kwiatkowski, although she did have an injury that she kind of hid before the Olympics. And then that was, wound up being controversial because she bombed there so terribly. We sent Jenny and Todd in 98. Jenny and Todd had been world bronze medalists twice in 95 and 96. They had been 3-time national champions. You get to Mirai and Ashley, I think, is the next one after that. I know I look like I'm boring the piss out of you. I'm sorry. I'm trying to make a point.
No, I know because I'm actually trying to like tally them in my mind. Keep going.
So, Mirai had really not been in shape for a couple of seasons. Really struggled with the rotations. Really had an empty program. She had an uneven coaching situation, switching. And she was working with Krista Fossey, and she was working with Galina, and she was working in Japan. It wasn't that the coach wasn't there to I know people always tweet that Mirai didn't have a coach there to advocate for her. Well, it's the judges and the committee who votes. She wouldn't have had like a judge.
But it did mean something that there wasn't someone by her
perception.
side.
It looked bad.
Yeah.
It looked like she
and the training itself. Yeah, you didn't understand the training plan.
And she had the program with the smoke breaks, but she did pull it together for nationals that year. The thing is, that one, Ashley had won 4 continents in 2012. She had 2 Grand Prix final medals going into that point. and she had
I felt that was the right decision.
I do think that one was the right decision, but I think that these are tough decisions that they make. Sometimes they don't seem as tough, but this one... So, okay. So all of these people had medals, right? They had some sort of tier 1 ISU medal, if we're putting Grand Prix Final, 4 continents into that bag. We get to Adam. Adam did win 4 continents back in 2010 when it was a B event for the Olympics. But if you're looking in more recent history, yes, he has Skate America medals, but he doesn't have a Grand Prix Final medal. He doesn't have a recent 4 continents medal in the last quadrennium. He doesn't have a world medal. How do you justify it? Just that he was better this season? I mean, I get the points and that Ross hasn't done as well, but you're also getting rid of the silver medalist for Adam. And you think, okay, Adam has done well this season, and I do appreciate his consistency, and I like his skating, and I'm happy that we get to see Adam there, and I'm very happy for him that he made it. So, but I feel very bad for Ross. And Law's like, but you never liked Ross's skating. But I think, well, he did do it.
But he's still a human being. Like that, it's on a human level, not a skating level that I feel sad. I don't feel sad we're not seeing Ross's programs at the Olympics. No. I feel sad that what seems like a good kid that really had a great moment is being denied not only the position, Dave, but being first alternate. Yes. That's like going out of your way.
Also, they could have gotten rid of Vincent. It looked like the judges were trying to get rid of Vincent because they were trying to make room for Adam and Jason to make that team. It did seem a little predetermined. And I think Vincent was going to be the first alternate before Ross upended things and then Adam and Jason both bombed. So it's not a clean decision.
I think the skating order had a big part of it.
So one of the skaters was saying that Adam really looked rough in the warm-up and he was pitching forward on a lot of his landings, that it didn't look easy or comfortable. Did you see that? Or
it wasn't a comfortable warm-up for Adam for sure. Mm-hmm. And then of course the quad lutz issue, which there always is, but he seemed to have settled into the program so that by the time he popped both of those passes, it took us aback. Mm-hmm. You were like, oh wait, what's happening?
Yeah.
And it must spiral out of control for him so fast that by the time he popped the final jump, it had to have already been cycling after the first pop.
Well, it was strange because he doesn't usually pop, and I can remember. I mean, we've seen Adam fall, but he doesn't see
or something like that. Yeah.
But I haven't really remember him popping since Boston Nationals for the Olympic trials when he completely imploded.
Yeah, exactly.
And he did not seem as mature then as he is now. The thing is, with Adam, this is the third Olympic trials he has bombed, Jonathan. This is the third time.
Although, I mean, in the scale of things, there have been bigger bombs than this.
Right. But both he and Ashley, and it's weird how they have these similar patterns, and they both seem to be big talkers and then don't always deliver. Right. But he has been delivering more than she ever has. It's very strange that this has happened the third time. And he has done better in competition lately, and he did do well at Worlds in 2016. He did okay and helped us get 3 spots in 2015. But it is very uneasy when you think,
But I mean, okay, so a couple of things.
Why not ditch Vincent? I mean, I understand, right? Because he's the third place person, and he hasn't done that well this season internationally either. But he does have the quads for the future, but he did finish, even with those quads, behind Ross.
Right. I don't know. A part of me wanted to send Vincent. A part of me definitely needed to see Vincent at Worlds. I want him to have as much experience and as much exposure as is possible. Like, seeing him in person, Dave, was really rough in Minnesota. Mm-hmm. I never remember. Was it St. Paul or Minneapolis? That's why I keep saying Minnesota.
It was St. Paul.
Okay. that was rough for me to see him skate live there.
Mm-hmm.
That was not the case for me here.
Mm-hmm.
He's not exactly a skater. I didn't have goosebumps when he was emoting, but he was much more emotive. And I think will only continue to perform better the more he does it, the higher the stakes are. You know what I mean? It's a curve. So give him that. It does, I feel like so often there's this nostalgia in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
for the underdog, for this sort of thing. I think it's great that Ross had such a fabulous moment, but we cannot pretend that Ross wouldn't be the lowest ranked U.S. man.
Right. So then why didn't they put him third at nationals? Because they could have. They really could have. And these judges are willing to do that. And they were willing to put Karen over Ashley and make that call.
But I think your theory is correct, and they didn't have all the information yet.
Yeah.
I think they merely thought maybe that they were sending a message to Vincent about his PCS.
Mm-hmm.
And that we didn't really matter because we were about to slot in Jason and Adam above the two of them.
Mm-hmm.
But then they messed up their plan, potentially.
Yeah, because the caller did call Vincent's under rotations. They've overlooked other people's. They overlooked Jason's in the short on that axle. So things were not...
In general, I thought the judging of the women's event was much better than the judging of the men's event.
The men's event didn't feel clean. The judging didn't feel clean. A lot of it was strange to me. Yeah.
But I thought for ladies it did, even though it was getting complaints. I thought that was the well-judged event.
Yeah. I just feel strangely about, well, they're not... When you take this, you get rid of the silver medalist for the fourth place finisher. That's strange to me. Get rid of the bronze medalist. I can understand. In some respects, that's what doesn't feel clean about this at all.
So would you have kicked Vincent off, or would you have just kept the podium?
Well, I think if I was a judge and I wanted to take Vincent, I think I would have put Vincent over Ross. And then not even... You're also tricking the person when they finish second. I think, especially when it's kind of close like that. But, the whole thing just feels very strange to me. And I don't know if I would have taken Adam.
So that's my question is what it boils down to.
I felt like they were going to take Adam. And I felt that way. I was pretty sure that they were going to take Adam, but I don't know if I would have done it.
Okay.
I don't know.
There's a lot of outcry for it, but now...
Because he's so popular and we like him so much.
But, this is also now a Mariah element where Ross needs to focus hard and just absolutely do amazingly well at Four Continents to make his full statement. Yeah. But my fear is that we could potentially have a Mariah episode where in 2014 she went to Four Continents and just completely shut the conversation because it solidified what the fears were. Yeah. And the Boston Skating Club had a rough outing. Mm-hmm. These nationals. Yeah. There was a lot of tight skating. There was a lot of implosions and things like that. Ross was a real surprise, I think. And I don't know if Mark carries that tension in an Olympic season or something like that. But also, I felt like actually being with that club may not have helped his case a little bit. There's clearly a thing, and of course Mark's response has been very clear where he stands on the whole issue.
When it got time to vote, I believe it was 11-1 that Adam made it, but that one vote may not have been for Ross. It could have been for Jason to go.
I see.
Yeah.
And then one person just sat out.
Okay.
Which I didn't understand of the panel. But the 3.5 hours or almost 4 hours.
That tells you that there was a lot of discussion going on.
Yeah. I think especially probably with the alternates.
You think it's even... I think everything has to be debated. The way we're thinking about it, I imagine... That's the discussion that you have.
And the thing is, so they did, despite what all the articles and the casual fans are saying, the criteria was laid out. It maybe didn't get the exact balances and things like that. But what is the mission statement for the Olympics?
I think it's to do the best as we can, and then obviously
does each matter, or are we really worried about the team event? Because, like we say,
but Nathan can do both.
The difference between Ross or Adam in the team event doesn't, especially if they do the short, it doesn't matter
So
as
the important is
much.
that you put the better skater in the short, because that's when there are 10 countries instead of the 5. By that
Right.
point, we already have the points. The worst that someone could do is 5th. So it doesn't really matter as long as we make it into the free skate that we have someone there.
Right.
We're pretty much going to do okay. Thing is, so it doesn't really matter if it's Vincent or Nathan or Adam or Ross or Jason in the free skate. They're all going to do fourth or third, fourth, or fifth and be fine, and we're going to get the bronze. We're not really in contention for higher. We don't have
Well,
a pair
and
team that's
that's the
going to do
thing. And
well.
in these individual medals, does the difference between ninth and 12th matter?
I mean, there's a
Does,
chance we could get the silver, a chance, but it's unlikely, and
I
it's
think almost impossible. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I don't know if it's impossible, but it's not great. I think
Yeah.
we're not getting the gold. That's clear. I would be
Right.
stunned if that happened. But, different things could happen at the Olympics, but I don't see it. Yeah, you look forward to, yeah, I don't know. I just, people are like, oh, we need Adam for the team event. But then you think if he can't handle an Olympic trials pressure, that doesn't, why isn't he going to be able to handle the Olympic pressure? Like what?
Right.
There's going to.
He would in the short, I feel.
Although at the Olympics, I think for him it's an exhibition at this point because he doesn't really have the pressure.
Well, but you know what? That's what I said about that one, his first Grand Prix final. It
Yeah.
almost, to me, was like, you're so clearly six.
Hmm.
Like, just go for it and own it. But he had difficulty that first outing at a Grand Prix final.
Yeah.
It was the second one that was better.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know what to think.
Well, Jonathan, yes, that was a jump cut. We nature was calling, but people were
Okay.
also texting during this, and we do have information that Brady will be skating the short program, and Marai will be skating the free at the team event. So there will be one substitution. That will be one of the substitution used. We know that pairs we won't be using it. I am at, and there was word that the Shibs wanted to do both events in the team. But I wonder if Nathan will do both events. I think that would be the smarter move.
Okay, I do have a couple of gut reaction thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
That goes perfectly what you were saying with putting a stronger technical skater in the
Mm-hmm.
short. Brady, especially seeing her live, so fast,
Mm-hmm.
so unbelievably clean.
Mm-hmm.
It may have lacked charm, but there were no questions. She
Mm-hmm.
landed that blade right every time. I think that's a great choice.
Mm-hmm.
Thrilling for Mariah. The problem is you want to give out as many medals as you can,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it would be nice to have, like, if Adam was going to be the one, Adam for sure is losing an Olympic medal. Like,
Yeah.
if I were Adam, I'd be really concerned about being the second man.
So
Um,
will they put the Shib so this is, the USFS has to balance this because let's say Nathan doesn't want to do both. Then they have to have one of the dance teams, then they have to have the second.
If I were Nathan, I 100% would not want to do both in fear that I would pull a Julia Lipnitskaya
Mm-hmm.
and peak at the wrong event. I mean, he's fragile. Not fragile, unnecessarily so, but like that would be exhausting for him to do an entire competition beforehand.
I mean, he is young enough to do it and rest and do it again. Thing is, if you know that we're using one of the switches in the ladies, and you know that we're not using it in the pairs, the second switch is either in the dance event or the men's. Now, I think
Right.
Nathan will, so apparently, and we just got a message about this as well, is that Adam was the second athlete voted on to the Olympic team. The debate was between Vincent and Ross about who they were going to drop.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
So if Adam is number 2, then I could see them allowing Nathan to do the short, Adam to do the long would make sense. But then which dance team do you have? Do you do the national champions? The thing is that at the Grand Prix final, if you add the Grand Prix final and nationals, the Shibs would do the short and Chuck and Bates would do the free. Now, Hubble and Donahue have been like the most consistent, across the two. but then if you don't let your national champions do it, there's also an uproar. Now, if they don't allow the Shibs in the team event, then there's going to be an uproar. So this is a lot of balancing act that they have to do. Frankly,
the thing is,
I would have had Brady do both. I would have had Brady do both.
Yeah.
I would have Brady do both. Well, because, and I love Mariah, and good for her for getting an Olympic medal. I think they're going to go with that storyline. And maybe Adam doesn't get to do. I
mean, the thing is, like,
I don't think it matters which dance team does it, if it's the Hubble or the Shibs. Although I think if you're national champion, you should get to do a program.
You've kind of done that right. I mean, it seems like the Shibs want it for themselves. Like, why would they need to do both? I feel like that's almost just, my gut reaction is that's a move to make sure that another team doesn't get that bronze.
Yeah.
That seems weird to request.
Well, these teams are all playing political games with each other because they're all competing against each other for that bronze medal. They're not teammates here. So let's.
So you think because of his youth, you don't think Nathan would tire out by doing both events in the team? That's my concern.
Not necessarily. I think it could be good or bad for him. I don't think so. I mean, look, I think keep that body healthy, at all costs. But
right. But at all costs to me means not doing both team events.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what to do. I would have to think about it. I don't know if I'd be so quick to put Mariah in the long over Brady. I think I would really strategize with that decision. I don't know. I don't know what to do there. I think Nathan could do both. I think Brady could do both. Have a week to prepare but they want to give it to Mariah. And they're going to use Mariah as the story. She's the girl that got passed over for the Olympic team, and then before. She's
going to get a medal, most likely. Yeah. I mean, I would have been tempted to put Brady in twice, and also in an attempt to get her out there more for the judges. And that if she goes and delivers 2 consistent team programs, the PCS slowly start to climb.
Yeah.
What do you think about her PCS in general?
Look, she deserved to win the nationals here. Were her PCS inflated? 100%. Absolutely 100%.
Yeah.
She has immature programs, but she does have speed. Mariah, as much as we love Mariah, she is deadpan when she skates.
And it's a very in-person. Both programs are rather empty. She stalks the ring quite a bit to make sure she gets what she has to do technically.
She did make a couple of more faces at the end of the long when it was going well, but
when it was all done, yeah.
I love Mariah. I wanted her to do that triple axel there. I think she will land it at the Olympics. I just have this gut feeling that
she's rotated. I mean, that's it's the kind where you're like, it's right there actually.
I think making it back to the Olympics to her, I think she will do better at the Olympics than she did at Nationals. I think that's what happened to her the last time she was at the Olympics. You got to think it's the Hail Mary of her career. The pressure is kind of off at that point before her. So I think she should just go for it and go for it all. I don't have high expectations for Karen. I don't think that just necessarily going to be bad. I think around a top 10 finish, but I mean, she could be higher, she could be lower. I don't really have expectations one way or another.
Right.
But what did you think of the event? What were your programs? Tell me your thoughts, Jonathan. We've been so serious.
Okay, so in ladies, the things were, it was Brady. It was pleasantly surprising. And when I saw her walking around the rink, like outside for during other events, I was like, okay, this is a packaging problem. Mm-hmm. She looks much better off the ice than she does on the ice. Mm-hmm. That's for sure. And okay, so maybe they were talking about immature programs. And I mean, the music is kiddie and the packaging. It's the packaging. But the skating itself did not seem so immature to me.
No.
Because of the speed, she was hitting very nice positions. And there's an ease in the program when you know you can relax. Mm-hmm. Even she had to fight a little on the loop and the short, but you could still relax because you're like, you're going to deliver this.
They need to send her to Lori next year or something.
Yeah, it's time. Now, I think her coach in Chicago, because she's had some world junior champions and stuff like that, the technique is so pristine. Mm-hmm. Why is everyone not flocking to that woman? Like, I don't understand. Like, it was so solid. it was really delightful to see, and I was impressed. I was impressed at how much more important Karen's skating seemed when she followed Ashley that way. And thank God for Star Andrews, actually, in a weird way, because the event had zero energy in it. Mm-hmm. She came out to her self-accompanied Whitney Houston song, which, okay, honestly, though, could have been worse.
Could have been worse. But why Whitney for half of it? Why put Whitney in at the end, Jonathan? What was the purpose of that? She was auto-tuned to all get out anyway. Why did we not just sing the whole song?
She was still less so than Jason at NHK, but but she had this energy, and it completely reignited the crowd and changed, in my opinion, the course of the event. Mm-hmm. Because she lifted the whole arena. And it's amazing how that can happen sometimes.
You do feel the energy when it's going to be a good event or a bad event.
Well, and yes, and it felt like it was going to just be a really bad event until Star went out and changed the course of the evening. Because even like Ashley or Angela, who faltered, they weren't actual, like, you didn't see someone disintegrate.
No.
It wasn't Jason. Do you know what I mean?
Angela held it together for herself. She really did.
Yeah. I liked the dress in person. Some people did not. I thought it kind of...
I liked the music too. Now, Gracie Gold on Twitter, I think, didn't like the music circles, but I've never cared much for Gracie's musical selections anyway. But were you reading her tweets?
They were pretty funny. But you know, it's a double-edged sword, because obviously her recovery time has been brief. Let's not pretend a couple of funny tweets and she's completely back on track personally. You know what I mean? I still
Especially
felt pain.
If you know the full story, or you know the more of the story than they talk in the press, it's more uncomfortable. The whole situation.
Dark. There's a dark sadness within that humor, for sure.
And the fact that she went to the Nationals, I feel, is so...
You're glutton for punishment.
Yeah. I don't know. It just feels like there's not a self-preservation instinct going on there. Although some of her jokes...
I mean...
The anger is real. The anger is real with her.
Yeah, and it's got to be a flurry of events. As you know, former singers around nationals, any nationals in general, it stirs up so much stuff. Unresolved things, of which obviously, Gracie has a great deal of. In an Olympic year, I don't know, this must have been really tough.
It's so funny because everyone gets inspired too, and they say that they want to come back. And I know she said that she was inspired and will want to come back.
I think there's a long road between now and...
I don't... I would still be really surprised. I heard she's been living in Arizona. I don't know.
She's not there yet.
She's not there. I don't want to say too much, but it's like... you don't... It's a
journey. It's a journey to heal.
I thought it was telling that they didn't interview her on TV. They only showed the glimpse and then...
Right.
Yeah, but it felt like she drew a lot of attention to herself being there. But all of these skaters seem almost addicted to that attention.
Right.
So,
but more so in an online way than in an in-person way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
but that
because if she wanted, she could be a correspondent.
Yes.
But I don't think she's ready for that.
No, especially when she was going on about Frank and then talking about.
They were clever, but it meant something deeper, and that was tough. Yeah.
I think, because, there are a lot of people that would say, that were in the rink, that say Frank tried to help her. And that,
I think the people that know would say that.
Yeah.
And more. This is the interesting thing. How many people go to these events? It's a big event.
Yeah.
And it's very quick for everyone. The minute anything disagrees with what they think about skating, the knee-jerk reaction is, and this is why skating is unpopular now. Mm-hmm. Everyone has their reason. They're like, and because you didn't pick Ashley for the team, this is why no one likes skating. Because you didn't call Jason's triple axel under-rotated, this is why no one likes skating. Vincent Zhao, too many jumps, this is why no one likes skating. Adams, too effeminate. This is why no one likes it.
Yeah. And then it's weird, too, is because a blonde girl won the event, it's, you have another blonde girl for the USFS to pimp. And then people were saying about Hubble winning. The USFS got their blonde girl. well, Hubble and Donahue would say that they, didn't get the love from the USFS for a long time. I don't see that. I
think that's seeing something that's for sure not there.
And then there's a lot of... So I haven't... I think it's great that Adam made the team, that he's the first gay athlete. To me, I do think that our society is moving, to a point where that's not as big of a deal as
the sport isn't.
The sport isn't. Now, 10 years ago, that would have been even a huger deal, and Johnny wasn't out then, and that could have...
Right.
Even though it's weird because we've gotten to a point where these athletes don't have to hide it as much as they did before, but it still is a fantastic achievement for him.
Right.
It doesn't feel as monumental to me because it's become more accepted than it was. But there are still tons of people in skating where you ask me, is that person in or is he out? And I'm like, well, if you and I talk to them, they would reference their husband. But they don't talk about it in an article, nor are they asked about it. And then it's not really relevant, but then they're still not really out. There are people, long veterans in the sport who everyone knows as a partner. People know who the partner is, or they know this one, and it's...
Well, and that's the ultimate joke, isn't it? That everyone would read that headline and guffaw.
Because everyone does guffaw. My friend Tara's like, well, there are so many gay skaters. And I'm like, yeah, but they weren't all out. And she's like...
Yeah, but you say that, but that's the whole problem, is they weren't out.
She's like, but then people are like, well, Johnny Weir wasn't out. And I'm like, well, Johnny Weir was playing with it, because Johnny Weir was wearing a rose crown of thorns in the last Olympics.
But that's not out. That's like compensatory outrageousness.
He was being compensatory outrageous because he knew he could get more headlines that way. I mean, he played the press and played the whole double standard. I mean, he was...
Well, what was the situation? He's the first openly gay Winter Olympian, or
from the U.S. From the U.S., yes.
Because I thought there was some story about Eric Radford deciding to comment on it before the Olympics, or not deciding to comment on it.
Right, but we're going to America. He's Canada, so...
Right, but I didn't know if they said it just U.S.
No, I think it's just U.S. Because, and there were athletes. John Curry was outed before he... competed, and and Toller and all these people from the 70s, and I don't...
Again, I just didn't know if they were out at that time. Okay.
Well, John Curry was outed, so that was known. Okay. But then they never talked about it. So again, it's like, what does out mean? Are we talking...
Exactly. Well, that was the drama also with Brian Orser, right? That there was threat that someone was going to out him, but right before the Calgary Games. It's just crazy.
And Brian Boitano didn't even come out until Obama really announced him as part of the delegation, and there was an implied outing by President Obama last time, and then he went...
Well, but he did that too. He had he finally stopped wearing the toupee at this Nationals.
Mm-hmm. A couple Nationals ago, yeah.
He did? Okay, because for so long we would see it, and it was like, why are you doing that? Like, just own it. Same with Michael Weiss. I was like, you've got a good look thing going on. Just go for it. Own it.
Yeah. Whew, you made me nervous there. Okay, let's, I know, I'm like, I don't want to, we're not outing anyone, but it's,
No, that's not like that.
I know. I'm like, oh, dear God. It's strange because these people are known as gay and skating, but then they're not, in the media they're not out, but then they're out in their daily lives and they're out in their professional lives mostly. So it's very...
It's an old-fashioned archaic thing that I think is changing generationally, but...
Yeah, but it is strange when people are like, wait a second, there have been tons of gay skaters. We're like, well, in the Olympics, I mean, it's...
Right.
But, yeah, it is... I mean, it's great for Adam. The thing with Adam in his press game that kind of gets me is that he talked so much about the selection criteria before it ever happened.
And yet people still weren't listening.
Right. Now, but the thing is that it's almost like he willed himself to have this kind of an error. And then we have people that we know that are like, well, I blame Ashley and he was affected by Ashley. I'm like, well, if you're affected by Ashley because she's your friend, this is your own Olympic dream and you need to shut that out and be a real athlete when you get out there. Look, Joni Rochette won a bronze medal after her mom died. Okay. And that was, she went out there and slayed. So, you know what? The fact that Ashley didn't make it, that is not an excuse. And if you let that get to you, then you are not as good of an athlete.
You're not focused.
Yeah, you're not focused. So
like Farai yelling the word focus, we hope. before she started skating.
Yeah. Is that what she said? People said
I'm saying she said focus. I thought I saw an S, but she could have said the other thing too. But whatever it was, do you, Mariah.
It was great, Mariah. I loved it.
Yeah.
Okay, you do you. She looks like she's living her best life and very happy. So
it was pretty emotional. You saw there was a lot of faux emotional response to one's own artistry, but there was you could sense a lot of relief.
I did want her to win, but you couldn't. It's
too clean. She is too clean.
She's too clean. Mariah wasn't clean enough. It was,
crisp. It was so crisp and clean every landing.
Even though she does have the chicken wing arms, and it's.
But it worked. Don't change it right now, baby.
Don't change it. Yeah.
But technique. Yeah, but a little.
And I do think she earned it. And then people are saying, "Oh, and why did we send Paulina instead of?" And they're relitigating everything. And oh dear God, but moving along. I mean, Jonathan, skating fans were exhausting this weekend. Okay, I have to tell you,
But it's interesting, again, even in the crowd, also, how many people are kind of uninformed.
I know.
And it's a very niche thing, and I understand that. It always was, even under 6-0, but I just thought, the kinds of people asking, how do you know the difference between the jumps? Like, normally those aren't the people that have spent all the money on hotels and tickets for the whole week to be at Nationals.
So last year, I have a friend, I know from gymnastics events and skating events, and, they go to see them all the time, and they watch all the events. And we were at the bar, and she was talking to Mike, and she goes, yeah, well, don't really tell Dave, but I don't really know the difference between the jumps. And I was like, wait a second, like, you spend how much money per year going to these events? Like, you went to law school?
Well, yeah, it would only help your enjoyment of the event, I think, when you know what's happening.
Yeah, so that was interesting to me. But it's also when you start to talk to judges.
Judgment. I'm glad everyone enjoys it. I just wouldn't enjoy it if I couldn't follow what was actually happening. Yeah,
but to each their own. But yeah, they're. So it was funny because on TV, and we talked a little about this. The crowd looked very older, especially young. When you watch a gymnastics event in the same arena,
you made that,
in the same arena, there are little girls running, and they're running down, trying to get pictures, even if their seats aren't down, and it's more mixed.
Right.
But it does feel like we need to youth it up the audience. I mean, I think you said that.
Did you almost say euthanize?
No, then there would be no one left to watch skating. I mean, if we use it, no.
Exactly. Well, come on. You're talking to someone in opera. Don't talk to me about an old crowd in the audience.
Jonathan, they showed a couple of people who we know, who I saw them sleeping on TV, and I texted someone. Bill was sleeping, and you know it, okay? And you saw it. And
They're long days at the arena. They're long days. And they didn't have very good coffee. But I have to say, in person, that I did see a great range in the ages. But I'm in my mid-30s, and I was of an age group, interestingly enough, that I felt completely in the middle.
Okay.
There were a lot of spectators that swung older, and a lot that swung younger. But I felt actually you're younger than I am, but like in kind of our general age group, that was the group that was a little bit missing.
Yeah. And some of our friends that didn't go for different reasons and, have kids or, Yeah.
And it was tricky. It was tricky that it was so close to New Year's for a lot of people.
It was really tricky, especially because taking off of work is really weird when people are, and this is what I debated for the longest time if I was going to go or not, because it looks really bad. If everyone is just from the holiday and then you take off right after, I mean, it just looks so strange. I mean, at least usually.
It's a tough time to do that. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, it was a little.
But there were a lot of firsts for me to watch live in this group, or in this event, and several I hadn't seen in a long time. And so to see someone like Vincent be so much better in person this time than he was in Minnesota, and so was Nathan.
Yeah.
Like Nathan in person, especially in both step sequences, especially in the short program, which I was like, okay, I get it. But he really sold it here in a way, in the dancing and the effort, you saw a physical energy throughout the entire move that I was not seeing earlier in the season. And it was so promising to me, and maybe because he felt more comfortable because it was planned content and all this sort of stuff, even though he was ill or whatever. There was like a next level of performance. I don't know, maybe it was the Vera Wang outfit.
The Evan Lysichek Vera Wang costumes. And did you hear Rolf says to him when he finishes the long, not bad 3 days practice. I mean, that... Yeah.
He's always working some angle. The same thing, like he immediately started touching Adam's boot when he got off. Like he's also got something up his sleeve.
He's a lot of showmanship, but I do think, I think Nathan again changing the jump layout, but doing a good job.
This one works. This one works to me.
This one worked. We have seen great Lutzes in the past, so that's why it was strange. You know, the flip was more issuous, but then here he was having issues with the Lutz, so. It'll be interesting to see what happens as they get towards the Olympics and what his...
I would assume the solo loop is still being reserved for the quad loop in the long.
Okay.
I think. That would appear to me the spot where they're still hoping to put that back.
I would think it would...
Because maybe that would give them less problems than the longs.
Yeah. Maybe, yeah. We'll see.
We shall see. I like the outfits. I know people said it looks like Gordieva Greenkov, it looks like Tron, it looks like this. But in person, the white stripe on the arms was especially effective in the arm gestures she made throughout the short because it extended. Your eye was drawn to the arm every time it moved.
Okay.
And you noticed the arms more as a result than when he was in his like JCPenney button-up, you know, like.
Did the zipper work on the back and the long in person? Because on TV it like glows. Yeah.
Loved it.
Okay.
It did. There was a shimmer to it, and it kind of flutters when he's going around and creates this feeling of speed. And in the spins, it would like, you know, the zipper would fly up, and it clues you into the speed a little bit. Deceptively that way. I liked it. I know people weren't, but
were you all about the Queen? I mean, Ross doing the Queen program for the free skate, did that really...
The Ross thing for me was a sentimental moment.
Okay.
If we didn't know him and know his journey and know how exciting this was, I don't know. The skating skills are commendable, but they're not phenomenal, right? So there was an old school vibe to it. The skating is a little old fashioned in a nice way, but the judges or the jumps still looked like he just eked them out. Okay. It just looked like such an amazing moment. And so, I don't know, it was pretty knee-jerk to me that he would have to be kept off, but I think then it's a consolation. He should be given a third spot to Worlds, or my goodness, first alternate to both. So offensive to not do that.
Yeah.
Just Jason's obvious like PCS marks and all this stuff. For him to be first alternate on both, I don't know, is Jason going to continue? Because to me, to be a first alternate sometimes might add insult to injury in that, what are you going to keep at it now just in case? Where's your motivation?
Yeah.
You know.
I felt that Jason has been hanging on, and I felt Adam's been hanging on too, but Adam, really made the most of this year. But for Jason, depending on how healthy he is, I don't know. I think that there's a new generation coming, and it'll be difficult for him. I could see maybe another year or maybe two, but I don't know. I don't know what the status is going.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, the status quo isn't the answer. So if you stay, it's officially time.
Yeah.
And if you don't continue, then you don't continue. But I was talking to, it's neat who you meet at these nationals.
You hugged it out with Roheen, yes. Okay.
I hugged it out with Roheen.
Yes.
Excuse me, Roheen hugged it out with me.
Oh, okay.
So that wasn't meant to be anything other than he approached me to apologize. But it's kind of a neat thing to talk to various judges, various officials, coaches, technical specialists, that they all come at it from such different angles. And a lot of the technical specialists that I was talking to kept saying, because my immediate question is this a limitation?
Mm-hmm.
And his skating skills are so exceptional that they exceed his technical limitations,
Mm-hmm.
and not one person thought it was an actual limitation. It was a technical deficiency that could be. It was not a talent deficiency.
Okay.
They believe the quad is easily there if the timing is adjusted.
Mm-hmm.
But there has been an argument that his timing is natural. He has to do the timing the way it is. But when you're adding a revolution,
Mm-hmm.
how could the timing possibly be the same?
I know that Frank felt that it was a Gus Lucy technique that he has that was good for the triple jumps through the Lutz, and then it gets dicier as you get to the quad and the triple
Clearly.
axel.
Yeah, that you may just have to approach them differently. Frank adjusted his arms for the quads and things like that. I mean, it makes sense someone else should change the entrance timing.
Mm-hmm.
And the same thing with the axle entrances.
Mm-hmm.
Mariah stalks it around the whole ring, but her change of edge is doing everything that helps her
Getting power.
maximize the jump. Mm-hmm. And Jason's isn't doing that. The entrances are making it more difficult than they need to be. And then when you go back and watch, you're like, these are such tangible things that could be done.
Mm-hmm.
So
and he does
know.
tighten up as well, with just a little bit, because he does know that he has this history. Yeah, because he knows he has the history of not doing it well, and
But even in the quads, like if he was hitting them more often, we'd be seeing them. I feel like we have seen a video of every time he's ever landed one.
I mean, we did see a gorgeous one that he did in practice, but that's one out of how many? You don't have the numbers. To translate it into competition, you need a very, very high percentage. 90%, 95% that you're doing this. So that's difficult. Yeah.
That was a tough one to watch.
I don't know why they went for the quads if it hasn't been there all year. Why would you change it at the last minute? But I got to thinking, is that something that they got wind of through a selection, through a Mitch Moyer comment? Because Ashley said, and I thought, when these kids start talking about the selection committee, I come at this with the gymnastics background, knowing when there is a real selection committee and there are different ways you make the team as an all-arounder or a specialist, when they're really dicing, the kids don't use the selection committee as a crutch that they've already shown. Like, they're afraid of the selection committee, these kids.
Right.
They're not, telling the selection committee, oh, I did it already. You have to put me on. Right? It is not. The way that Adam spoke about it was very... And even Ashley, in gymnastics, they cannot get entitled about it in that way because they know that there's so many good people and that they could be switched at any moment. They don't talk like that. I think that Ashley made a comment that she needed to show the selection committee that she could do a clean triple, which seems strange to me. That's not in the criteria? Was that something told to her, or is that a talking point for her? That's what I was getting. And then we saw Jason go for the quad toe, and we saw Adam still do the quad lutz. I mean, I thought Adam would do the quad lutz because he's done it most of the year, even though it's a fake quad lutz. I thought with Jason, I thought that was strange that he put it in, and I wondered if they had said that you really need to show a quad here to go.
Right.
That
to be taken seriously. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was the least of his worries.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. Now, did he have a good warm-up?
His looked shaky to me. He looked shaky to me.
Okay.
The vibe was not... He was in the new costume also. But it was a nervy warm-up in general.
Okay.
I thought. So, Ross was a mess in that warm-up.
Okay.
But then was still able to save it. But the warm-up was tight from everybody. That energy was goofy out there.
Now, how about the Jimmy Ma short program?
It was entertaining.
Yeah.
And that was what was actually, after all of that, with Jason and Hamilton and all that, they were trying to go for that musical...
viral moment.
Get those headlines, and then Jimmy Ma stole all of the short program headlines because of Turned Down for What. So, it is what it is. It suited him much better than the long good.
Yeah. I mean, he does need a gimmick like that. He needs something like that to bring out that personality because he doesn't have...
That's why we're talking about him. Yeah. We're talking about him because of the Rock program or whatever.
I have to say, I still loved Alex Johnson's free skate so much.
Beautiful skating.
But it does feel like there's always a ceiling for him, and that the judges know they're not going to put him in the top 5, and that he's in the next 5 that they're judging. You know, it feels like he and Tim Dolenski are competing rather than...
They could have given him such higher PCS. Tim was a bit of a disappointment live for me here, although people were telling me how much he improved. It fell short for me a little bit. That was tough.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, apparently Tim is continuing, which is great. He looks to, be enthusiastic. I wonder if this is it for Alex. I'm not sure. But I think Alex has such a beautiful skating quality, and based on how Jason skated, I could see Alex getting a lot more points for that here.
Right.
If they weren't predetermined, keeping Jason in the Olympic mix, which is obviously what happened. They do still put people in tiers. If you read John Jackson's book where he talks about the A tier, the B tier, the C tier, it's clear that still is very real in skating.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But I mean, I think about the motivation for these guys. Mm-hmm. And it's sort of like, well, how far do you go? When do you call it a day? At what age, at what level, at what placement? That must be a really tough balancing act.
Especially because when you skate at a nationals, you get off the ice and you're like, that was great. I want to do that, especially if it goes well. And then you're like, yes, I want to do it. And then to spend the whole year struggling with the ups and the downs, then it becomes more real a couple of weeks later where you're like, well.
Yeah, I think so. And then you have someone like Sean Rabbit, who's like totally everyone's favorite. Mm-hmm. He's like every fan favorite. He's doing these entertaining programs. But I was like, to what end? Mm-hmm. Is it because... I mean, it's clear where his status kind of is.
He loves it, and...
Yeah. So do you just keep going on because you like this cycle? Is it because you want to coach? Is it...
Well, it does help you. The more top 10 finishes you have, it gets your name out there for coaching. I think for Grant and Caroline, continuing, raises awareness, especially as you're building your coaching career.
Okay.
When you're there, but... Yeah, what did you think of Grant?
That short program was very special, and he had very big, open. We keep saying it's like nostalgic skating.
Big Paul Wiley edges, yeah.
Yeah, like it kind of had this like big openness, and I had feared that perhaps the long wasn't going to be able to deliver in the same way the short did. The short was exceptional. I absolutely would have had him third. Yeah. He created a really amazing moment.
But they wanted to hold up the people that they needed to put on the Olympic team. And that shows you that he wasn't in consideration. And that's one of the things that Mark Mitchell complained about in his article with Christine, is he said that they really should have told the certain skaters that they were not in consideration if they were.
Well, but that's also the thing. Is Grant's only goal to going to nationals right now to qualify for the Olympics, or is it serving alternate purposes as well?
I think you want to go out.
Imagine if they went out of their way to be like, Ross, even if you make it, even if you win, you're not going. Of course they wouldn't say that.
It's weird, but I think because the criteria is so new. That's the thing, is that they're still new with this whole criteria body of work. What does it all mean? I think that's...
So riddle me this. If Vincent and Adam had been replaced, or had been switched, then would they have sent the podium? Is the main thing that they needed Adam, or was the main thing that they didn't want Ross?
Well, it was both, apparently. I think that's what the long discussion is. Do you send Vincent or Ross? I don't think that they were thrilled with either choice, and that's interesting. I think that's telling, but I
there was no good answer. There was no, and I mean, again, like you're saying, I wasn't like Ross's biggest fan. Mm-hmm. That just like your heart goes out to anybody in that position.
But then think of the story, okay? Think of it from a storytelling point of view.
Okay.
People would have been so far behind Ross. You do the fluff piece. You talk about how he hasn't been on the world team since 2013. The Olympic trials were in his hometown. You could show him falling in Boston, show the clips, show Mark Mitchell getting passed over for Todd, him doing the interview. NBC could have scored this so well. Ross could have been the biggest...
it could have been a total, like, heartwarming story. Yeah.
And
if he
Vincent,
backed it up.
the thing with Vincent is that his rotations in the quads haven't improved that much. I mean, Chris Nojan's quad loop hasn't improved in 3 years. I mean, it's still half a turn cheat when we see it on the ice. And that's strange to me.
But there is such potential in Vincent. And so
I agree.
By the height of the jumps in person, even though that they were getting dings and marks and these sorts of things, the energy is there, and the performance quality was much more than it used to be. Again, nowhere where I would like it, ideally as a fan, but it's moving.
They also could have sent Ross to the Olympics and sent Vincent to 4 continents and worlds. They could have done that as well.
And that's sort of what I thought was going to happen.
Okay.
Was that Vincent would get the bump, but still, and could arguably get that experience through Worlds. But yeah, it's just really tough. And I hope that, for Ross's sake, that he goes and just nails 4 continents.
Yeah.
But that's a gamble. That's a gamble with the coach in a weird place right now. With him probably, I don't even think he was probably as upset as everyone around. Of course, he was upset.
Yes.
But he seems like a pretty
together.
Good. Yeah, he seems to be like go with the flow.
Jonathan, let's talk about the peer event. We had a field here last year. Pairs at nationals was rough, especially in the free skate because the performances really had a lot of problems. This year, I felt like it was a little bit rejuvenated with the teams all trying really their best and trying to raise their level. We saw, I think, 4 pretty commendable teams here, 4 to 5. What did you make of everyone? Let's start.
Okay, so this was a lot of newbies for me live. Deanna live, loved it.
Yes.
There was an air about it. It was like she was in a bubble and she was just like kind of radiating an energy and an old school class and elegance that I hate to be that old skating queen. You could tell she was raised in a different system.
Yes.
You can. It sounds like a cliche, but you really can. The emotiveness, the carriage, all of it was really, really special.
I messaged her after the thing, and I was saying for your program next year, you need to be the star of it. You need to go to a strong female choreographer. Right. Don't allow Mr. Peterson to make any decisions. We know how he's controlling. You need to say that we're going to a strong female choreographer, and she needs to do like a fiery or sexy program or something sultry, and she needs to be the flower. Let him be the stem, and they need to really show her off more than they currently are.
They need to bring, everyone just wishes it was like old school, program. Just go out and do some layback spin into a scratch spin while it goes around you, just so we can see it.
Show her back, do an arabesque, do an Ina Bauer. I mean, all of it. They need to show her off. And it needs, I think, a strong female choreographer. If they don't want to do Shay because Tara and Danny are, use Marie France. If they don't want to do that, call Sandra, call Leanne Millard, call Renee Roca. They need a real strong female to really emphasize that. Absolutely. And to emphasize the chemistry between them and make them a little bit different. Especially because Alexa and Chris seem to be going like the schmaltzier Jenny and Todd way with their chemistry now that they're married. Right. They're having the We're Married programs. So I think that they need to
combat it with something fun and edgy.
Edgy. And do that and be that different. And then Tara and Danny tend to, skate to the standards more and give that energy.
That's what was really in general. And also, I'm just going to sound like a stodgy classical musician, but there was very much, and I felt this with the Canadian pairs a little bit this year also, this kind of soft rock.
There is that soft rock thing, yes. Yeah,
and even with the Ghost soundtrack, that gives you that soft rock vibe. And again, it's not that I'm above it. But everyone is capturing the same energy and the same mood so that merely Danny and Tara, who come out and do Swan Lake, whether that's your favorite Swan Lake or not, it stands out in a weird way. By going with the Warhorse, that's what's sticking out as unique in these fields. Mm-hmm. Very few just straight classic Warhorse programs, even this season.
I would have had Deanna first in the short, or at least a very close second. And
I'm surprised that their components aren't higher.
because I think that the judges were not considering them for the Olympic team as much until they hadn't proven it yet because they didn't have as strong of a fall season. I think they were excited by Tara and Danny being back and being in shape and ready to go, and fit and healthy. And I don't think that they were wanting to send them just yet. But I think that they deserve to be second here and that they skated up.
Well, and the components could still have been. But again, it's that tricky dichotomy because she is so good. And in the same way, Tara,
Danny.
she's swum. Tara is not pointing her toes or the same quality of Deanna.
And the crossovers
but Danny, I could just watch skate all day. It's just so exquisite. So it's tough. How you leave the overall feeling of the team. But I liked the Shaylin.
A lot.
Especially at the end. But like those final 30 seconds and the way they navigated that whole ending, I thought was really creative and really neat. And I hope they use her more.
Yeah.
Because I like that infused look, but I felt like they would have benefited from having her back down there maybe for a week.
Well, I think just getting Tara healthy and ready to go and getting them prepared, I thought that they were such a step up from their senior B competition.
Absolutely. But so I hope core competence is still a big improvement. And they have to turn around immediately and go through that. Yeah.
But I felt a little bit strange in the pair event. Some of the GOEs were just ridiculous. I mean, looking at that panel when Alexa and Chris landed, the quad twist is so spectacular in the air, but then they landed it on 2 feet that never even went to 1 foot. It was so clearly just put down on 2 feet, and that was a big, error to give that the positive GOE. And then Alexa putting, her foot down on both throws, especially the second one glaringly. And the jumps, to me, it's still there's such a push for this team because of what they have done internationally. But when you look at the statistics, they're almost 0 for 3 on the jumps every time. I guess we can give them 1 for 3 if you want to give the short, but it really wasn't a clean.
And here's the thing. What you notice with him on the warm-ups and all these sorts of things, he isn't trying triples and falling. He's not quite going for them. So then inevitably you have muscle memory about practicing your doubles, I would think. This happens in singing all the time. When you have a colleague who always marks the high note in rehearsal, the high note's not going to be good in the performance. How can you just pull it out and have it be good if you've never rehearsed it? You can't rely on the muscle memory. And that's what seems like it happens is he always does these doubles.
They always do the double, side-by-side doubles in the warm-up, yeah.
And then when he goes for the triple, his body reacts by doing a double or wanting to do the double, and then it's so awkward and weird. Now, having said that, in person, they seem the most like a pair.
They are the most like a pair, and they do have the biggest elements.
So. Yes, and his wingspan is enormous. And actually, he does a good job of that upper body carriage, especially in creating a large presence that exudes energy on the ice. Some of those things just matter more than some of the other teams. They had a bigger aesthetic at times than Tara and Danny. But again, the jumps were issues for everyone. So in that moment, the only way someone was ever going to upset the apple cart was if they went in technically flawless, which no one did. Because the Alexa and Chris do, again, have the most unified, big, fancy look. You
do imagine her with a Tim LeDuc, with a Danny. That's if we're getting to the next level in pair skating. Because she can do a triple Lutz. She can do a big triple Lutz, Alexa.
I think she's absolutely a great skater. She looks good in the air. She looks good in her edges. She looks good in her jumps. But she is. I was watching her closely. What kind of partner and spouse she is, and the minute she does anything, she turns to him.
Well, what did you think of the other pair teams? Because I felt like there was a little bit of a changing of the guard. I know that Marissa and Mervyn said that they want to go to another 4 years, but we've seen them change. The Salchows used to be their better jumps. We saw them change to side-by-side triple toes as their main jump, which Marissa has not rotated consistently all season, and Mervyn has struggled with landing. And instead of doing the side-by-side triple sow cows, they went for a side-by-side double sow, double toe, and even had issues with that. I mean, at what point are we at the end of the line?
Dave, they actually, having said that, about the only other pair that really looks so cohesive together is them.
I know.
They have such an intangible quality that it's so elegant, it's so unified, and you just are like, it's here. Mm-hmm. It's right there.
It is, but it's been right there. The thing is that she did get the throw flip Lutz clean. That has become clean, which that used to be cheated, and they all knew it was under-rotated. It never got called, but everyone in the ring kind of, winked about it because they didn't really have a second throw. But they always good. Now they've figured out that timing, and they've lost the jumps completely. They at least used to have the sow, usually. And
that's another one. Motivation would be confusing for me because they have access to information. They have been skating together for a while now. All the puzzle pieces are there, but it's just not coming together. So I don't know. They're always lovely to see,
and they always say that they always say that they do better at home. But then we talk to a lot of people that see them and they don't. So it's
there's no way you could be practicing well and then have the kinds of issues they have. I mean, you know what I mean? Yeah. It's too bad because it's all right there.
Yeah, I mean, and you see it when you watch them practice. Or we went to Chelsea Piers and saw them earlier and missing routinely the same elements again and again. And it's so it's. The percentage isn't there, so.
But
they look gorgeous together, and they both are great skaters. So
it's a great match, but
now how about Ashley and Tim? Because we have 2 years, and last year everyone was excited about them, and they were new and they're tall, and I know you love the giraffe skaters. But to me, this is a height mismatch, and I don't know how far they can push this. They've gotten better with the twist.
Limitations to how far it will go. Yeah. And for me, the big thing is, and people who saw them before in person, like last season, said that the improvement has been tremendous.
Yes.
Which I'll have to believe because in person, I'm still watching two single skaters trying to almost outdo the other one.
There were certain things that got better. They were matching their spirals this time, which they never did before.
But some of the combination spins, it's like a novelty that they're trying so hard to hit certain positions, but they're almost too unique for them to possibly be lined up correctly and to do well.
And it's
so.
And she always under-rotates the triple loop when they do the side-by-side triple loops, and it's a little wonky.
Yeah, I failed to see. I enjoyed them because I enjoy him, and she moves fine as well, but...
She has a charisma, but it's not cohesive yet.
Yeah, and his stretch doesn't just have to be for these kind of jazzy, rocky kind of things. I feel like in 2014... there was a classical program, and it was like kind of next level balletic, if I'm recalling correctly.
Well, they had the Russian coach back then. He was with Sergei. So
and that worked, but I don't know. I would be intrigued to see Ashley try it because then it wouldn't be this kind of like sass factor. It would be a substance factor. But again, I don't know if they'll ever get the levels. I don't know if they'll ever. But they were entertaining. I was entertained.
Yeah.
So.
Then Haven and Brandon, they've worked with everyone in the jumps, and they were a struggle before the injury, and they're like a real struggle now. And
was that a message? That was like in 2014 when the judges said goodbye to Agnes Zawazi.
Yeah.
This was just like nope, goodbye. Their skating lacked some presence, I felt, in person. I was surprised at how much the judges buried them still. Mm-hmm. And there are ones where I was like, if you had just found the right team and found the right, I don't know what could have been, but it was a miss.
It's interesting because there are some good pair skaters. And I know Johnny was saying on TV that, there haven't always been the skaters to match, but I think that there kind of are, in the U.S. right now. They're not matched correctly in a lot of these pairs. I think Moskvina would get rid of all of them and start mixing and matching, but Jessica Fund is a very good pair skater.
Yeah, Callalang is very good being held down. Yeah, a bit.
I mean, Jessica Fund, she's in a partnership where they've had weird things happen in their free skates every nationals. And mean,
This
remember
one
St.
was
Paul.
comfortable. Yeah. Someone sent me that like slow-mo of him like holding her on the lift just by her dress, like literally grabbing the dress up. And I was like, ugh. So, tricky.
But on a happier note, the ice dance event, you discovered John-Luc Baker for the first time, Jonathan. And
well, I mean, I'd always liked him.
Yeah.
But to see it in that short program, which is a little cheesy, right? It's a little flashy, but the softness of his knee in person, I had never noticed as much as I did in this.
You never watched the Amelie free dance when they won Junior Worlds? And
I mean, no, because I probably wasn't streaming Junior World.
Jonathan, what were you doing? It was wonderful.
But I've seen him live several times.
Wait, when he was being the guy with ALS, I mean, that was not bringing him out in the same way. This was.
Oh my God. Correct. That one didn't have the same impact for me.
Yes.
But this short dance was tremendous. Now everyone was going nuts for the free dance of theirs.
Yes.
And he again has great.
The Liebestrom without the vocals, right? Yes.
Thank God. Oh my gosh, it's just the music like it's supposed to be. But I'm intrigued by their choreography. In my mind, it could have been more intricate. It could have been more creative, advanced. I felt like the level is, their capabilities are higher than the material they're doing.
I think they've outgrown their current situation.
I think so too. Now, in some ways, I was glad to see Angelica back and around, because I like her, and she was, for so long, she seemed like she was about to inherit some major spotlight, and then Marie-France swept in and took all the attention, right, deservedly.
I mean, this would be a great team with Marie-France or with Marina.
I think so too. Yeah. I think Marina would even give them some unique, cool things to do that they should be doing and can be doing, but are not doing right now. Some people
Unless she just turned them into a Virtue and Moyer from before, and it was really boring. Because they have had this kind of modern lyrical style since they won the Junior Worlds, and they haven't experimented at all. And that's... He
can do anything.
Yeah.
I would assume
she has personality too. I really think they've played it safe. They won Junior Worlds, and they wanted to stick with the same style when they were first year senior. Then they did that ALS program, and then they found Liebestrom, but to stick with it another year because last year they fell 3 times at nationals, and it was so rough. So yeah,
right.
But
I think they're great, and I would love to see them make a big move in this next squad. But I think, like Hubble and Donahue, they had to switch in order to get that new look and push them forward.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know how they'll proceed.
I think they've been polished up to look senior and to be ready for their chance to make the top 3. But I do think they need to move forward, and I think...
it does make you wonder if they were representing Britain, they'd be Olympians like 2 times over already, Yeah. But
so now, how about the top 3 teams? How do you feel about this whole 0.5 separating everyone? Obviously, we have been Hubble and Donahue supporters for a long time.
Absolutely.
In person, did it do it for you?
Oh my gosh. Yes, more than ever. In person, I did have to say, like, even in 2014, I was hoping they would go to the games over chalk and baits. But I understood the argument. They're a bit slow, these sorts of things. She, in particular, exhibits, like, a masculine energy, like, from her solar plexus, and just, like, commands the entire arena. And they look like they're 7 feet tall, and like their shoulders are 7 feet wide, and your eye just is drawn to them. And chalk and baits, I kept having to find in the warm-up. I'd be like, where are they? Oh, okay.
Because it's very old school Igor 2000 with the waif girl and the guy that's kind of dragging her around. That is...
Yeah. Except this time she's been caught in seaweed because she's covered in kelp from head to toe. So, but it was it was the large,
They were large and in charge, Jonathan.
They were, and she would come by with one like powerful edge, and you were just like, whoa. I mean, I'm trying not to just use terms that mean big.
They're powerful and strong and dynamic.
Yes. And it was just incredible.
She gave you full-on Ethel Merman, okay? She was like Ethel Merman on ice, okay? It was like B. Arthur and...
like Broadway lights all over her. But it was more subtle than that, too. It was so sensual. Like, the short program moved and you were into it, and it had a next level sophistication. And the free, like in the beginning on television, I was always a little like, oh, this is weird. It totally worked in person. Mm-hmm. Like, the programs were even better in person. And I was just like, I'm in. I don't know why they didn't win the free. To me, there was like no... They lost a couple
levels, but I would have given them all of the components, okay?
I really would have. The skating, the edges were so deep, so fast, so grand. Like, it was just top level stuff. And I loved the dresses in person for her.
Okay.
That worked for me.
Even the short, yeah.
Yeah, which I was skeptical of on television, but in person, like, it's an energy. Mm-hmm. You know how some people they're attractive for sure, but some people aren't attractive, but their energy is attractive. Mm-hmm. Like, they're attractive, but they're also emitting this energy that you want to, like, give them all the support, give them all the love. It doesn't have an Olympic moment feel, their free dance. It's subtle, it's sophisticated.
Yeah.
But I was
there's a rawness to it.
It's very honest and real.
It's like Sandra putting Barb and Paul in those tight jeans, or Tuffy Huff bringing the sax on the...
This was better than that. This was better.
Better than Tuffy? I mean, come on. Yes,
it was.
Okay.
And she's the only one who like got it in the kiss and cry the whole event.
Yes.
And Madison Hall. Like, I just thought they were so incredible. It was wonderful.
I love that thing of the three teams because, the ships are always squeaky clean, and this is the first time we've seen real emotion from them, and they were tipped, and that was exciting.
They've always been ready to go, but no one gives them that opportunity. Even in the short dance, Zach with his like little whoops, they may have had it there, but he keeps allowing it to slide. The shivs in person, there was again crisp feeling to the free dance, a fast, slick feeling to it, but it lacked gravitas. Mm-hmm. You fill the rink the same way, both in pattern. The pattern is just not as good, in my opinion.
So when you watch the first pattern, or the first step sequence in the free, there's a very careful feeling that they hit all of the edges, but that they're not skating out and that they're not skating. And I remember I asked Marina about this last year. They never let go. Marilyn and Charlie would always explode into the performance, and so did Virtue and Moyer. And Maddie and Zach have kind of, sometimes too much, but they never let go. They are so skating within themselves, and they're never really pushing the edges, pushing the step sequence. It's very rehearsed but afraid at the same time, and it's robotic in that sense. And then she does not give emotion at all, and...
Well, it's a motivation. Like, why are you doing the step sequence? Mm-hmm. They're doing it because they were told to do these steps at this point.
And they have this whole trilogy that I don't feel, and I don't know that we don't, like, someone shouldn't have had to see the last three programs to get that, like, it, and I don't, the whole thing that they put in the fix you, just do the other free dance. If you want to do that free dance and that feels more honest, do that free dance. Okay.
Well, that had more build and a genuine feeling to it. This really does just kind of go on like a mixtape, and it doesn't do the swells properly.
Yeah.
The short dance works much better. So I would argue they should do the short dance in the team event, and Hubble and Donahue should do the long.
Their short dance is quite good. It's not, I don't like it as much as Papadakis' Cizeron or Virtue and Moyer.
Oh, no, but I think their chances of executing it cleaner.
Yes. They're like a solid beam worker. They're going to do it, but they're just...
The emotion wasn't there.
So I feel that this is as far as they're going to go artistically.
Yeah.
Because this is inherently who they are as and as much as they're willing to show as people, you see
They're
it in
students.
every aspect of their media performance, how controlled they are. I mean, they're getting... We're only going to know this much about them. They're never going to tell you more. And until Alex was really mad after they lost, that's all we're going to ever know of them, because they have chosen to play it so safe. And this is the game they're playing and skating. And it's, yeah.
And in many ways, it has worked for them.
In ways, but then it hasn't worked performance-wise. And then they've gotten angry that they haven't gotten the more results. But they're not... You know, when Michelle Kwan would perform, she would lose herself in the music and explode in the performance, you know? And when she didn't, she lost in Nagano. And you think you have to... It's dance. It's music. It's movement. Why are you an ice dancer if you're not about that? Then you're in the wrong...
Well, so two things. One, it's like you're saying, there's this narrative that, like, some people in Boston are like, oh, they almost won. But they didn't almost win. They
got a good second place. Yeah.
Yeah. Their dream is to hold on to third place at this Olympics. It's not a challenge for one or two.
Well, they're
you know
saying
what I mean?
they want to win, but, you know.
And they have to, of course. So does Paulina. Okay, but so...
Paulina, who we talked to people, she hasn't practiced the long program in a month, Jonathan. Okay.
That was clear after France. They had to adapt their strategy. Yes. And I understand. I understand it.
Yeah.
The long was the short was a nice enough moment that they were like, and scene.
Yes.
We still have dignity. Yeah. But
you knew it was coming when she posted the photo partying on New Year's Eve. You were like, oh, that's bold. Yeah.
You know me, in a way, I'm like, way to be real. You're a
way
real
to be
person.
Real. Yes.
I'm gonna
New Year, same po. I was like, yes. Yeah.
I know what your resolutions are not. Okay.
Yes.
I'm going to make a comparison, and it's going to get me in trouble.
Okay.
But I feel like there's an element of the Shivs that remind me of Linda Frediani, in that they come at it from a student standpoint. Mm-hmm. Linda, Frank will still tell you, Linda was the perfect student.
And so is mine. You could tell.
And what did she do at the Olympics? Linda did her job at the Olympics. Who had the revelation?
Denise Spielman. You know.
Denise Spielman had her moment. So I feel like in the same way, if you're...
And who does Michael Shanley like at the end of the day? I like that butch Swiss girl and what she was doing on the ice.
I would go to her aerobics class.
I want to see her skate push it, you know? Yes.
Yeah. Well, good, because she's coming up next on the playlist. With the headless spin.
By the way, pause. I got a message last night. 3 a.m. Eastern... 3:30 Eastern, about 12:30 her time, so not that suspicious. But, there was no, hi, how are you? You know, I didn't message this person. Pasha Grichuk, who now goes by Oksana, sends me a post, randomly overnight, from December 9th, 2015, and she shares it. Now, we haven't talked about her lately. I mean, she's always top of mind, but I haven't, you know. And it was... a post where she said, spend 9 long years of my life working with this handsome guy, the best skating partner on the planet. Thank you, Zanichka. And it's her and Platov together. And Jonathan, I was like, hi, how are you? What? Yes? I don't understand. What's happening here? We got a message from Pasha, and I hope she's well. I'm glad that she's talking
that she
to him.
ever is truly well.
I remember he claimed that she once told him that he was only worth 20% of the medal or something, and but spend 9 long years and.
And do you remember that fluff piece? Do you remember that fluff piece where she called Oksana?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, amazing, just incredible. Happy birthday, Mr. President.
Happy birthday, Mr. President. Yes.
Passion means passion, so there you go.
You know, people always know how to draw attention to themselves during nationals. You know,
right? It's true. It's true.
Nick LaRoche usually will post his junior national title on Facebook. I wait for it every year. You know, he relives it. Everyone from nationals relives their moment usually. So
it's a thing. It's a thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I was waiting for it, but I didn't. Of all the people.
So Dave, were you surprised that the Imagine program won the free dance?
I think that there is a old school political bend in the U.S. and that Marina and Igor still have a lot of judges and a lot of support. These go back decades.
They were still very disappointed facially, and that must have been at the result. But if I were them, I'd have been like, "Whoa, we won the free."
Yeah.
Like I would have viewed that as a moment.
But I think that they've all been spun by their coaches that they still have it, and they don't want to give up hope just yet. So. But I'll be curious. But I'm so excited for Canadian Nationals this week. I'm ready.
And hey, bravo to Skate Canada, who is allowing a live stream to all the countries in order to watch. I think that's pretty cool.
Also, bravo to the Parsons, who I really like both of them. I'm not sure I like them together, but I really enjoy both of their skating. I think that we can move on from imitating the Duchesne's program. I don't think that it's ever looked as good when anyone skates it. I don't think it's looked as good.
This one just felt like pan flutes at a mall.
And I know that your friend Georgine thinks that they're sweet and she's an ice dance lover, but the thing is that when Ilyenik did it, it wasn't... Look, it was so done and perfect the first time, and the second time they did it.
It kind of gets a giggly response.
Yeah.
Sometimes the music at this juncture, at this point in time.
People don't get the reference, and it's not the same.
It's nice qualities. Nice qualities.
Do you know why it worked well before? Because Isabel was like on the edge of, she was veering Pasha on the ice, and that's what made it so exciting. He was the steady Eddie, and she was the flower of the pair. Yeah,
I loved them. I absolutely loved them.
Could watch her in a fluff piece all day.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
I mean, remember when they did the missing program and it wasn't working, and they had to go back, and oh man. And what's coming at the end of this video now. I mean, we're going to have some fun.
Exactly. Oh, phew, we figured out what it's going to be. Okay.
I always try to do something fun,
Zdorova. That's right. You've
so
your game.
I saw you sitting with Dina on TV, our Russian friend. Zdorova.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the lessons continued with Torgashev and Krasnashon and all these things.
I think Torgashev has a lot of talent, but I think it's time for him to make a coaching move. Maybe to Roth, maybe... Yeah. Someone that's going to be a real disciplinarian with him. Really do. And then, because some of them, they went to the Senior B right before Junior Grand Prix Final, and Krasnosian said, well, I went from this to Junior Grand Prix Final to Nationals. I'm like, well, that's poor planning. Why did you let Mitch Moyer talk into that one? That's dumb. I know you want to get out the senior, score, but not smart planning for the season. So, yeah. But
yeah. Exactly. Anyway, and a shout out to Scott Dyer, who had the classiest opera edit so far of the season.
And the best hair in the program. And
yeah, that's something.
And always one of the best, like, classy Lori programs, always. So
super stretchy, super tall skating, which is why I was loving Zach and Maddie so much.
So what was your moment of Nationals?
I have several, Dave. Okay. I have several. In the men, it was the commitment that Nathan Chen was giving to his extension and his choreography, and especially in the second half of some of the short, especially. I was like, that's real performing. That's like hurling your body into a couple of the moves, and I was very thrilled by that. For the ladies, it was fine, right? That was fine. I think Madison and Zach winning, and of course they didn't even win one section of the program. It's like they didn't win the short or the free, but
neither did Charlie Tickner, and he's world champion, baby. Okay.
Exactly. So I was really thrilled with them because that was like a culmination for me. I was happy to be there in person to see it.
I have to say, on TV, we got to see Dick and Peggy together again, and they were like on TV with Terry Gannon, and it was a sweet moment. That was really one.
You know who got the biggest applause in the Olympian cavalcade or whatever? Well, so many people were missing. Dorothy wasn't there. Tara was already at the Golden Globes. Evan was there with Vera. We saw them.
And did you see the Vera tattoo on the finger? Did you look? Or
well, they were together always. I couldn't quite see the finger, and I didn't want to be a creeper.
Yeah, well, she's always there wherever he is. She's always there. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Someone saw it. He skated in recently at a rink, and someone saw it. Yeah. Okay.
So there's that. That's still a thing. And Tinley Albright got the biggest applause.
As she deserves. Okay.
Flowers and all.
Flowered the hair. Yes.
Yeah. It's agile as ever.
Love. Okay.
Yeah. Chrissy skated a bit. She did a bit of exhibition skating. It was cute. Sweet. still in Olympic level shape. I mean, that just blows my mind.
And
So.
she just did like a Stars performance too. They're like
Okay.
history, yeah. So, yeah,
Makes
I
sense.
really
She looks good.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. It was a good event. You know, I don't know. Yeah, my moment of nationals. I don't know. I maybe Hubble and Donahue winning. I think that was big. Obviously, the drama of Ashley and Adam and Pooja being so talented.
Everything was flipped so upside down. It felt like, remember in '94, the men's long, or like the men's whole program, we all thought it was Brian and Victor and Kurt. And then it was like, no.
Yeah.
It's these other three. And there's something kind of exciting about that.
Yes.
Even if the teams didn't end up for, Ross and it ended in heartbreak, but like something about just everything being switched up was really exciting in and of itself.
Although I did feel, last year I was there for Gracie's moment, and I feel when Ashley got snippy, when she got snippy, I just really wish that I were there to witness it, because I like those, when people get real.
Right questions, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The thing is, like, these are when you show your colors, right?
Yeah.
And she's not showing the right ones. She could have written a really classy end to things here, and, I'm sure she'll do great at Fort Collins.
She doesn't even go to the senior B's, Jonathan, please. Yeah.
She's not going there, so.
Yeah, well, that's a shock.
Yeah.
But anyway, hold an edge, look sexy, and we'll see you for the Canadian Championships. Bye, guys.
In ice dancing, the competition begins early. Here, Tatiana Tarasova works with the 1994 Olympic gold medalists. And all three know that this practice is being unofficially scored by judges watching dancers and dancers watching each other. The woman in the lavender skates, Oksana Grichuk, has recently changed her name because people confused her with Oksana Bayul.
Go on and close your eyes, go on, imagine me there. She's got similar features with longer hair, and if that's what it takes to get you through, go on and close your eyes. It shouldn't bother you.
People was mistaking me with Oksana, who first of all became very popular and then became criminal. So I didn't want people think I'm her.
Oksana Grichuk is changing her name to Pasha. You know about that?
No, I don't.
You don't?
No, I don't. I'm not interested about what people are doing. I'm just interested about my friends, and I'm very happy for my friends. And I don't know, what was your question?
Two-time world champion, the reigning Olympic gold medalist, and the favorite to win again. But Pasha Grichuk has far more than ice on her mind. Mark Phillips has more.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Mr. President. Happy birthday to you.
You are entering the world of Pasha, the skater formerly known as Oksana Grichuk. A world where cameras, mirrors, and the performance, especially the performance, reign supreme.
Let's do one more time.
Some athletes change countries, others change partners. But 4 months ago, Oksana decided she wanted to change her name, her identity.
No, she said to me, I want to change the name. But I thought like it's a joke. She said to me, I will be Pasha. I said, okay, maybe better Glasha. I make a joke, but I never realized it's serious like that.
I've been on TV every year for so many competitions, winning worlds, Europeans, Olympics, on the top, on the first place. And people doesn't know who I am. Plus, they think I'm somebody else.
That somebody else was the other Oksana, a fellow Russian-speaking figure skating Lillehammer gold medalist Oksana Bayul, although Pasha refuses to say her full name.
People was mistaking me with Oksana, who first of all became very popular and then became criminal. So I didn't want people think I'm her.
Criminal might be a little harsh, although Oksana Bayul was arrested for drunk driving last winter. The relationship between Pasha and Bayul has been sometimes hostile, always bizarre. Some have even noticed a disturbing pattern. Here is the Bayul laugh 3 years ago. Here is the Grichuk laugh today. Listen to the music for the Bayul free program 2 years ago. Here's Grichuk and Platov's music 1 year later. Finally, there are the hairstyles. Guess whose came first? People magazine called it a tale of two Oksanas.
She's just a little girl on this level. Yes, she is Olympic gold medalist. Yes, she is very talented and beautiful skater. She is. But I have no reason to look at this level. Otherwise, I'll go down. I always look up.
In fact, Pasha, let's just call her Pasha, is looking up even more than that. She's set her sights on imitating not just another figure skater, but the most glamorous blonde in history.
A kiss on the hand may be quite continental, but diamonds are a girl's best friend. A kiss may be grand, but it won't pay the rental on your humble flat or help you at the automat.
Her innocent and her romantics and her sexuality. I mean, she really reminds me of myself.
Hollywood has noticed Pasha's innocence, her romance, and her sexuality, trying to cast her in a movie as a Russian mafia mistress. Pasha uses the same agency that serves Julia Roberts, and she's busy reading movie scripts preparing for her next career.
What can I say? Stop your moving career and let's go just skating. If she is successful, if she second Sharon Stone, I don't think I can keep her in my team. So I will find something else too. It's a life.
As for Pasha's life, when the all-important performance is over, she now knows what she wants her public to say.
Hello, Pasha. Can we have your autograph? It makes me really feel good. I mean, this is really... I know it's my name. I know they call me. I know they mean that it's me.
So goodbye, Oksana Grichuk. Hello, Pasha, who finally has a name to match her identity. Or does she?
Well, she may not be the girl you want to bring home to meet Mom, but she is a pretty good skater. We'll see her later tonight.